Hello, my name is Fallon Moore. I am an occupational therapy doctorate student at Pacific University. My capstone experience and project were focused on utilizing trauma-sensitive mindfulness with foster and adoptive families. I partnered with the Oregon Post-Adoption Resource Center, also known as ORPARC, which provides free, confidential, compassionate, trauma-aware, and adoption-competent services for the entire state of Oregon for foster, adoptive, kinship, and assisted guardianship families, as well as the child welfare workers and adoption professionals who serve them. I want to note briefly that foster parents are now officially called resource parents, though the term resource can get a bit confusing since I'll be talking a lot about different resources throughout my presentation. So I'll primarily use the term foster just to reduce confusion. ORPARC provides support services, consultation, resources, including their comprehensive library and digital library with numerous videos, podcasts, books, and more, as well as information packets on various topics available both digitally and in print, and numerous trainings on approaches such as therapeutic life story work and All About Me books, among many others. I decided to work with ORPARC because I became curious about what supports resilience for children with histories of trauma, especially those who have experienced the child welfare system. I wanted to learn more about the potential benefits of using mindfulness-based interventions, not just with children in care, but also with their adoptive and foster families. I wanted to investigate how the occupational therapy profession can incorporate these interventions and tailor them to foster and adoptive families. I discovered that occupational therapy has a lot to offer this population because families are adjusting to new life rhythms and dealing with challenges related to children's histories of trauma. These histories can create unique challenges within the family unit that impact many areas of daily life, including emotional regulation, sensory processing, relationships, and behavioral and mental health. Based on current research, mindfulness shows great promise to support families with these specific challenges. Children who have experienced the child welfare system often have histories of trauma, and their caregivers are also likely to have experienced trauma, since an estimated 70% of US adults have experienced at least one traumatic event in their lifetime. When delivered using a trauma-sensitive approach, mindfulness can support positive adaptation for children and families, which enhances their resilience and overall well-being. However, mindfulness is often not accessible, and many resources are not trauma-informed. Throughout my capstone experience and project, I set out to increase accessibility of trauma-sensitive mindfulness using an OT lens to ensure that busy, stressed families can integrate mindfulness into their daily lives. Mindfulness pairs particularly well with occupational therapy because it can be implemented in a variety of settings with people across the lifespan with both individuals and groups. And mindfulness is now widely recognized as an evidence-based mental health intervention. In the literature, there were limited studies specifically looking at using mindfulness with foster and adoptive families. Therefore, I broadened the scope of my research a bit to include literature that investigated using mindfulness with children and adults with histories of trauma. The current evidence suggests that mindfulness has the potential to bolster psychological resilience to trauma and adversity, as well as improve physical, behavioral, and mental health outcomes among children and adults exposed to trauma. Mindfulness-based interventions are also associated with improved emotional regulation, reduced parental stress, greater relationship satisfaction, and reduced behavioral problems in children. It is clear how these benefits can improve outcomes for children in care, as well as their foster and adoptive families. And these benefits can support overall well-being and also attachment, which plays a huge role in the health of family systems. Now I'll talk a bit about the models and theories that informed my capstone work. The Kawa model, Kawa means river in Japanese, is an occupational therapy model that uses the metaphor of a river to symbolize a person's life flow. Rocks symbolize obstacles which are difficult to move and can impede a person's life flow. Driftwood symbolizes attributes and resources, and these can either positively or negatively impact life flow by creating obstructions when combined with rocks or nudging obstructions out of the way. The riverbed symbolizes contexts and environments, including schools, neighborhoods, friends, and family systems, among other things. The river represents the client, and the river itself can carve out and change the shape of the riverbed. The Kawa model is an ideal model to use when working with adoptive and foster families because it emphasizes the importance of context and respects the profound and complex interrelationship of all the elements within a person's life. According to the Kawa model, when all the elements are working together in harmony, then a person's life flow is optimized. My capstone project was also guided by transdisciplinary resilience theories, which focus on strengths-based perspectives and resilience promoting processes rather than fixing deficits. When serving adoptive and foster children and families, it becomes critical to understand resilience not only from the perspective of an individual's attributes, but also from the lens of how society influences resilience. So I thought this model and theory worked really well together with this population. A core part of what occupational therapists do is provide education to enable our clients to reach their goals. We often teach our clients different skills. And when using the Kawa model, mindfulness skills can be seen as driftwood that can help nudge obstructions out of the way within the river. Mindfulness can be a powerful tool to create more space and enhance life flow by improving coping skills to manage stress and build resilience. This enhanced life flow contributes to improved health and well-being, according to the Kawa model. But families need accessible, trauma-sensitive mindfulness resources to create this space and enhance their life flow. My project aimed to do just that by collating and adapting resources to make them as accessible as possible for busy families to build their resilience. A little more on how my project developed. I conducted a comprehensive needs assessment, which included research, interviews, and education. My research included reading numerous books and articles and listening to experts in the field of mindfulness and trauma recovery, as well as adoption and foster care. My research included, I also conducted in-depth interviews with key or park staff throughout the needs assessment process to learn about the needs of families. Additionally, I completed trainings and continuing education on interventions that utilize mindfulness in their approach, such as trust-based relational intervention and the resilience toolkit. Through interviews and research, I learned that it is especially difficult for parents and children to learn and listen when they're constantly in a hypervigilant and dysregulated state due to the trauma they've experienced. I learned a lot about trauma-sensitive mindfulness, guided by the work of Dr. David Trelevin, whose work focuses on the intersections of trauma, mindfulness, and social justice. I did my best to implement principles of trauma-sensitive mindfulness throughout my capstone experience and project to ensure that families can experience the benefits of mindfulness. My site and I agreed that one component of my project would be to explain what mindfulness is and then guide families through some simple activities, as well as translate some of the research on the benefits of mindfulness in simple language that families could easily understand. I used what I've learned about health literacy and universal design for learning to simplify language, use larger font, minimize text, highlight important points, and create graphics to visually depict concepts. My primary objective with my project was to collate and develop resources for a multimedia mindfulness and resilience toolkit. Additionally, my secondary objective was to collaborate with our park staff to develop additional information and resources to bolster resilience. I'll talk more about each of these next. Some highlights from my capstone experience included advocating for occupational therapy in emerging settings and bridging OT with others who are actively promoting and practicing trauma responsive care, as well as assisting with compiling relevant resources for our park families, and implementing mindfulness activities as the co-leader of social skills groups for children at Skyhook Counseling Center. In my project, which primarily was developing the mindfulness and resilience toolkit, came in 4 parts. First, I created a short video to be shared with Orr Park parent support groups, which introduces mindfulness and guides families through a brief mindful breathing activity to reduce stress in everyday life. It is available through YouTube with closed captioning for accessibility. I also developed 2 information packets on mindfulness and resilience, one geared more toward children and teens with simple activities and other things to work on to develop their mindfulness skills. I also made one geared towards parents and caregivers with more robust information and resources. They both were a collation of resources designed to make mindfulness as accessible as possible. I also helped develop the mindfulness and resilience resource page for the Orr Park website, which includes numerous websites, podcasts, videos, articles, and guided practice opportunities, both for caregivers as well as children and teens. This page can be accessed as needed and includes a variety of resources to accommodate different learner needs. And also some resources on it are available in Spanish. A note on some of the limitations. Due to time constraints and other factors, measuring the impact of my work was limited. My original idea was to develop and administer surveys for people who utilized the resources to provide feedback on how they were received. The data collected could be used to update, revise, and develop new resources to better meet the needs of families. Orr Park staff did share with me that my work has had a positive impact on families and workers, and they assured me that my contributions will support countless families long after I'm gone. To recap some main points, when delivered using a trauma-sensitive approach, mindfulness strengthens mental resilience to trauma and adversity, and it can improve physical, behavioral, and mental health outcomes among children and adults exposed to trauma. OT practitioners are well equipped to integrate mindfulness-based interventions into therapy services across the lifespan and within diverse settings. We have the specialized knowledge and skills to increase accessibility of mindfulness and tailor these interventions to the specific needs of foster and adoptive families. I hope that my capstone project demonstrated this and inspires others to learn about using mindfulness within OT practice. Thank you so much for watching my capstone presentation. I hope it inspired you to learn more about the potential of using mindfulness to support resilience and improve outcomes with foster and adoptive families. Thank you so much.